The question is never the real question. That's what a lot of men miss. A younger woman looks at an older man and asks something simple, almost casual, almost forgettable. What do you do? Why are you single? Do you want kids? What was your last relationship like? And some men hear words. That's all they hear. Words, small talk, curiosity, flirting with a little polish on it. But underneath that surface, something much more important is happening. She is not just asking what you say about your life, she is measuring what your life feels like. And if you're here for truth instead of fantasy, subscribe now, because this is for people who want clarity over ego, discipline over delusion, and real understanding over recycled dating noise. Here's what this really means. When a younger woman asks an older man certain questions, she is often not trying to be entertained. She is trying to decode risk, stability, intention, and emotional cost. Not always consciously, not always perfectly, but very often that's what's happening. She is not only asking, are you attractive? She is asking, what kind of experience would it be to let you closer? That's the part most men are too distracted to notice. Because the misconception is simple. Men think interest is proven by attention alone. If she asks questions, she must be intrigued. If she leans in, she must be impressed. If she keeps the conversation going, she must already be halfway won over. That thinking is shallow. The hard truth is that questions are not compliments. Questions are windows. Sometimes into attraction, yes, but also into caution, into discernment, into her attempt to figure out whether your age comes with depth or just better packaging. And a lot of men fail right there, not because they don't have good answers, but because they answer from ego instead of reality. They start selling, performing, over-explaining, trying to sound impressive, seasoned, above the chaos, above younger men, above need. And the moment they do that, the whole interaction shifts. What could have become trust turns into presentation. Women feel presentation, especially the kind that is trying too hard not to look like it's trying. So let's talk about the 7 revealing questions, not as lines to decode mechanically, but as emotional pressure points, because each one tells you less about some secret female psychology and more about the silent assessment happening in real time. The first question is usually some version of, what do you actually do with your life? It sounds ordinary. It isn't. She's not only asking about your job, she's asking about structure, rhythm, purpose. Are you a man with gravity or just a man with stories? Do your days have direction, or are you living off old accomplishments and trying to turn past success into present attraction? A younger woman may be drawn to maturity, but what maturity really feels like is consistency. A man whose life has shape, a man whose days are not one long improvisation disguised as freedom. The second question often comes indirectly, but it lands hard when you hear it clearly. Why are you interested in younger women? She may not phrase it that bluntly. She might ask, have you always dated younger? Or what do you like about our dynamic? Or why do you think we connect? But beneath the wording, she is looking for motive. Is she a person to you or a symbol? Is she being seen or used as evidence that you're still desirable? That question matters, because if your answer carries even a trace of trying to recover youth through her, she will feel it. Maybe not in one sentence, but in the energy behind it. And that energy is heavy. The third question is one older men should fear and respect in equal measure. What happened in your last relationship? Now the conversation gets real, because this is where charm stops helping. She's listening for blame, for bitterness, for victimhood dressed as wisdom, for the man who says he's learned a lot, but still talks like every woman before her was the problem. A younger woman asking this is not just hunting for gossip. She is testing whether time actually matured you. Did pain deepen you or just harden you? Those are not the same thing. The fourth question is subtler. What do you want now? Not someday, not theoretically, now. This is one of the most revealing questions because it forces presence. Are you clear, or are you hiding behind ambiguity because clarity would expose your fear? A lot of men pretend uncertainty is sophistication. It isn't. Sometimes it's just avoidance in a tailored jacket. If you're old enough to know what commitment costs, then be old enough to say what you are and are not available for. A younger woman with self-respect is not impressed by vagueness. She may tolerate it for a while. She may even flirt inside it, but she does not build trust on it. The fifth question usually arrives wrapped in curiosity. What have you learned? It might come through stories about your 20s, your failures, your career, your family, your regrets. But what she is really asking is this: did life teach you humility or just strategy? Did you become calmer or merely more controlled? Did you learn how to listen, how to repair, how to stay, how to tell the truth without drama? Because age without reflection is just repetition. And younger women who are emotionally awake can sense the difference between a man who has lived and a man who has merely accumulated years. The sixth question is one men often underestimate because it sounds so light. What do you do for fun? Harmless, right? Not really. She is asking whether your life still has aliveness in it, whether your seriousness has become dead weight, whether you know how to enjoy life without making everything transactional. Are you interesting because you are wealthy, connected, experienced, established? Or are you interesting because you are actually awake, present, curious, playful without being juvenile, relaxed without being aimless? A younger woman may admire a man with a built life, but she also wants to know whether there is still warmth in the house. And the seventh question, the most important one, sometimes arrives without a clear sentence at all. It hides inside moments like, what do you think of me? Or why do you talk to me the way you do? Or even, do you think I'm mature for my age? What she is really asking is whether you see her clearly, not as an age, not as a fantasy, not as a category, her. Can you meet her without flattening her into your assumptions? Can you respect her intelligence without trying to mentor her into submission? Can you be attracted without becoming possessive? Can you be older without making the age gap your whole personality? This is where a lot of men collapse, because psychologically many men don't hear questions. They hear tests of worth. And the moment a man feels tested, he often becomes artificial. He answers to impress instead of reveal. He reaches for the polished version, the strongest version, the least vulnerable version. He edits out the very human details that would have made him believable. And now the conversation sounds clean but dead. That's fear, and fear has a smell, not a literal one, a social one, an emotional one. It makes a man rush. It makes him overtalk. It makes him turn honesty into branding. He stops relating and starts managing perception. And the cost is enormous. He may think he's protecting himself, but what he's really doing is teaching her that his image matters more than reality. That's not maturity. That's fragility with better posture. Now picture a different kind of man. He's older, yes, but that's not the first thing you notice. What you notice is that he is settled, not lazy, settled. He doesn't reach for the perfect answer because he's not trying to win the room. When a younger woman asks about his life, he answers simply, clearly, without inflation. When she asks about the past, he doesn't weaponize old pain to make himself look wise. When she asks what he wants, he doesn't hide behind fog. He is honest without being intense, warm without crowding the space. He does not mistake her curiosity for permission to dominate the interaction. He listens fully. He lets silence exist. He is not trying to harvest validation from her attention. He already has a life he respects. That man stands out, not because he is louder than younger men, because he is less divided than most men. He doesn't need to prove his value every 3 minutes. He trusts it, and because he trusts it, he can stay present. That is rare enough to feel magnetic. If you want to apply this immediately, stop trying to decode interest as if you're cracking a secret code. Start listening for what the question underneath the question might be, and then answer that calmly, honestly, without performance. If she asks what you do, don't just tell her your title. Let her feel your relationship to your life. If she asks about your past, don't just report facts. Show that you have reflected. If she asks what you want, answer like a man who respects both people's time. If she asks what you think of her, don't reduce her to youth, beauty, or novelty. Show that you're capable of seeing substance. That's discipline. Another shift matters too. Stop turning every younger woman's attention into a referendum on your worth. That pressure will ruin your presence. If she asks questions, good, stay grounded. If she seems interested, good, stay grounded. If she pulls back, good, stay grounded. Your job is not to squeeze certainty out of every interaction. Your job is to remain clear enough to see what is actually happening without contaminating it with desperation, because desperation makes men hallucinate meaning. A delayed text becomes a strategy. A deep question becomes destiny. A little attention becomes a fantasy, and suddenly he is not responding to her. He is responding to the movie he built around her. That's avoidance. Real confidence does not rush to conclusions. It watches, it listens, it answers cleanly. It lets patterns reveal themselves over time. So if a younger woman asks you questions, don't just ask whether she's interested, ask a better question. What is my presence teaching her about my character? About my clarity, about my emotional age, about whether my years actually turned into wisdom? That question can change everything. Because the truth is, the most attractive answer is rarely the smoothest one. It's the one that feels unforced, integrated, real. A younger woman can find status anywhere. She can find style anywhere. She can find performance everywhere. But a man who has become honest, calm, self-respecting, and emotionally coherent over time, that is much harder to find. This is your identity reset. Stop trying to decode women from a place of hunger. Start becoming the kind of man whose life answers before his mouth does. Stop hearing questions as threats. Hear them as invitations to stand in reality. Stop trying to sound older in a powerful way. Start becoming mature in a visible way. Because in the end, her questions are not just revealing her interest, they are revealing your level. And if you keep building that level with clarity, discipline, and self-respect, you won't need tricks, scripts, or borrowed confidence. You'll have something stronger, presence. And if you want to keep sharpening that presence with a community built around truth, discipline, and growth, subscribe now and stay with us.